Good morning, I'm Danny Laurel. It is Monday the 30th of March, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. Let's get to the stories that matter today. Filipino Catholics have officially begun the observance of Holy Week. Stay tuned as we check the situation on the ground at bus terminals and Quiapo Church this Holy Monday. The Department of Labor and Employment is ramping up its support for workers at risk of displacement amid the recently declared national energy emergency. With a 1.2 billion peso fund now in place, the agency is refocusing its tupad and livelihood programs to cushion the impact on key sectors, starting with transport workers. And Patricia Non is calling for solidarity once again, reopening the Maginhawa Community Pantry specifically for transport workers affected by the energy crisis. Welcome to our program Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda, another fuel price hike is expected this week amid the ongoing tension in the Middle East. Now, based on industry sources, diesel prices could increase by as much as 11 to 12 pesos per liter, while gasoline may go up by around 3 pesos per liter. This follows continued volatility in global oil prices driven by escalating tensions in the Middle East and concerns over possible supply disruptions. Now, in previous weeks, pump prices have already seen consecutive increases, putting pressure on transport costs and basic goods. Pakistan announced it will host talks between the United States and Iran, aiming to mediate as the Middle East conflict intensifies. Meanwhile, Iran warned of retaliation against U.S. forces, and Israel announced plans to expand its operations in Lebanon, heightening regional tensions.
Pakistan announced that it expects to host talks between the United States and Iran in the coming days, though neither Washington nor Tehran has confirmed their participation. Foreign Minister Aisha Akbar stated that both sides had expressed confidence in Pakistan's role as a mediator following meetings in Islamabad with top diplomats from Turkey, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia.
Pakistan is very happy that both Iran and the US have expressed their confidence in Pakistan to facilitate the talks. Pakistan will be honored to host and facilitate meaningful talks between the two sides in coming days for a comprehensive and lasting settlement of the ongoing conflict.
However, Iran's parliament speaker dismissed the initiative, accusing Washington of using diplomacy as a cover while deploying U.S. Marines to the region. At the same time, Israel announced plans to expand its invasion of Lebanon against Hezbollah militants, further widening the conflict. Iran's parliament speaker warned that Iranian forces are prepared to confront U.S. troops on the ground and retaliate against their regional allies. He emphasized that Iran's attacks will continue, saying their missiles are ready and their determination has only grown stronger. Speaking from Geneva during a Human Rights Council session, a senior Iranian diplomat claimed they're winning the conflict, asserting that the US and Israel have been forced to scale back their ambitions and are now focused mainly on keeping the Strait of Hormuz open.
The fact that Iran has imposed its control on the whole region is a big victory. The fact that what they were campaigning at the first now has been reduced to opening the Strait of Hormuz is a big victory for Iran.
He also insisted that Iran's new supreme leader, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei, is safe and governing the country, even though he has not been seen publicly since succeeding his slain father. The ongoing fighting has jeopardized global oil and gas supplies, caused fertilizer shortages, disrupted air travel, and rattled markets due to Iran's control over the vital Strait of Hormuz.
Meanwhile, travel activity is picking up this Holy Monday as more Filipinos begin their trips for the long break. For a situationer at PTEX, we go live to Mobile Journal, Evan Tarinque. Evan, what's the situation there?
Dani, ilang araw nga bago ang pagdaraos ng Semana Santa. Pero yung sitwasyon dito sa Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange o PITX, so far mas maluwag pa rin naman sa mga oras na ito. Ikot ko kayo for a meantime. Pakita lang natin yung current situation dito So far ito sa entrance pa lang ng terminal, makikita natin medyo may build up na ng mga pasahero na papasok ng loob ng terminal. So meron tayong mga metal detectors dito at mga security personnel na isa-isa chinecheck yung mga bags natin. Pagdating naman dito, the usual, no, Danny, pag tuwing Semana Santa, usually kasi itong part na to ng loob ng terminal, pag ganitong ilang araw na lang, usual punuan na ito. Pero so far, makikita natin na mas maluwag pa rin or maluwag pa rin yung sitwasyon so far dito. No? Lakad tayo ng konti. Makikita natin yung ilang mga upuan na bakante pa rin naman so far. No? Kasi karaniwan, lalo na pag few days, 2 or 3 days before the Holy Week, itong mga upuan na to, halos baka puno na yan. Wala ka nang mauupuan sa mga oras na iyan. So, ayan yung current situation dito. Pag lumabas tayo dito ng konti, ito yung isa sa gate 5 kung saan nga karamihan o maraming mga pasahero nag-aabang dito. Pero ngayon, halos wala pa rin mga pasahero so far, no? So, Danny, according nga doon sa datos na nakuha natin earlier this morning, yung tickets naman, yung medyo pahirapan nang makakuha yung mga kapatid natin dahil doon sa latest na data na nakuha natin is 81% ng biyaheng pa Bicol fully booked na, no? Pero yung ilang mga nakausap natin doon sa mga ticket booths, nakabili pa naman sila. Unfortunately nga lang, hindi nila makukuha yung gusto nilang oras at araw ng biyahe. Katulad ng isa natin nakausap, na gusto niya sana bumiyahe ngayong araw, pero dahil fully booked na nga yung hanggang March 31 na ticket doon sa bus company na yun, mapipilitan siya na April 3 or April 4 na lang siya makakaalis papunta sa kanilang lugar sa Bicol. Danny?
Evan, pa-clarify lang, itong fully booked, is that because maraming pasahero and it's really fully booked this time of the year, or is that because maraming cancellations ng mga buses because of the fuel prices?
Alam mo, Danny, dito kasi sa loob ng terminal, especially itong papabiyahe ng Bicol region, even before, no, yun talaga yung talagang blockbuster, yung pila, yung rutang papuntang Bicol. Pero ang dito, Danny, naisama na rin natin, may ilang mga bus companies kasi na magbabawas nung biyahe, gaya nga nung papuntang Batangas, Pampanga at Nueva Ecija, no? Dahil nga yan doon sa tumataas ng presyo ng produktong petrolyo, no? Pero ayun naman dun sa pamunuan ng PITX, ang diskarte nila ngayon, pupunuin muna yung mga bus, no? Para hindi sayang yung biyahe ng mga bus na ito. So, ang mangyayari, magkakaroon nga lang daw ng onting pag-iintay yung mga pasahero, mapuno lang yung mga bus na ito at para hindi efficient pa rin yung pagkonsumo nga ng gasolina. Dahil
Nakausap nyo ba yung mga pasahero or bus companies kung biglang nag-fare increase ba for this week? Or syempre binook na nila tong tickets hopefully before the war started. Meron bang jump in fare prices or is there a very steady, same pa rin naman ang mga fare prices ngayon?
Dahil may mga pasahero tayong mga nakausap kanina na naramdaman nga nila na merong pagtataas ng presyo yung ilang mga bus companies. No, kung dati 750 yung kanilang ticket, ngayon daw nasa 858 pesos na. So may 100 pesos yung itinaas ng kanilang pamasahe. Pero so far kasi ngayon, inaantay pa natin yung sagot ng pamunuan ng PITX kung ano yung gagawin nila sa ganitong sitwasyon. Na merong nagtataas nga ng pamasahe kahit naman wala pang, kahit na hininto yung price hike ng mismo ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. Pero ayon din nga sa LTFRB, itong mga nagtataas presyo or mga nananampantala na dahil nga sa taas ng presyo ng produktong petrolyo, pwedeng mas suspinde yung kanilang mga prangkisa o kaya naman pagmultahin dahil dito. Dani?
Okay, so meron namang level of making sure na hindi nag-exploit ng pricing, no? Last question, Evan, curious lang kami. Meron bang online reservation para sa mga bus for this Holy Week?
Tama ka dyan, Dani. No? Mas okay nga raw na mas advisable na mag-online reservation or mag-online booking yung mga kapatid nga natin na babiyahe para nga kahit papano. Pagdating nila dito sa loob ng terminal, mag-aantay na lang sila doon sa mga pag-alis ng oras ng kanilang bus. Pero paalala ng mga terminal officials, iwasan na rin pa rin yung pagdadala ng mga pinagbabawal, gaya ng mga flammable materials, matutulis na bagay. Dahil last week, no, dun sa final count nila nakuha nila last week is more than 250 na mga mga prohibited items yung na-confiscate ng mga dito sa loob ng terminal. So far, pinapaalala nila advance booking para hindi na makahassle sa pagpila dito sa loob ng terminal. Danny?
All right, thank you for that update, Mobile Journal, Evan Tarinque. Meanwhile, Metro Pacific Tollways Corporation has placed its expressway network on full alert for the Holy Week travel rush, implementing the Biyaheng Arangkada program from March 27 to April 6, 2026. This initiative covers NLEX, SCTEX, NLEX Connector, Cavitex, Calax, and CCLEX with additional personnel deployed to manage traffic and maintain smooth toll operations. Motorist assistance will include roadside stations, medical teams, free towing for select vehicles, and 24/7 customer support while roadworks and lane closures are suspended to reduce congestion. MPTC advised travelers to plan trips ahead of peak periods, ensure sufficient RFID balance, and check their vehicles before departure. Let's now check the prices of basic goods with mobile journalist Fatima Baduria, who is now in Mega Q Mart over in Quezon City. Explain to us, Fatima, kamusta ang mga presyo ng bilihin dyan?
Dani, wala pang pagtaas sa presyo ng mga bilihin dito sa Mega Q Mart. Simula last week, pasok pa rin sa itinatala ng Department of Agriculture sa isinasagawa nilang bantay presyo yung mga price range ng mga bilihin dito. Pero ayon sa mga nagtitinda, inaasahan nila na magkakaroon o posibleng magkaroon ng taas presyo lalo na sa mga isda, lalo na ngayon na Semana Santa. So, pwede raw natin yan makita in the coming days. Pero sa ngayon, ganun pa rin ang presyo ng galunggong, nasa 220 per kilo. Ang hasa-hasa, ang tulingan, nasa 200 per kilo yan. Bangus, 220 per kilo rin. Ang tilapia naman, nasa 130 per kilo. Pagdating sa gulay, ganun pa rin yung mga price range. Ang talong ay nasa 80 per kilo, kamatis nasa 60 per kilo daw yan. Ang carrots naman nasa 130 pesos per kilo. Ang repolyo nasa 80 pesos per kilo. Ang ampalaya naman nasa 150 per kilo daw yan. At 110 pesos naman ang kilo ng sibuyas. 140 per kilo naman sa bawang. Pagdating naman sa mga karne, sa baboy, nasa 310 pesos per kilo. Ang manok na isang buo, nasa 180 to 190 pesos daw yan. Ang bigas naman, yung pinakamababa pa rin na lokal, ganun pa rin, nasa 48 pesos pa rin. Yung mga well-milled naman, nasa mga 50 to 60. At yung mga imported rice naman, lalo na yung Japanese rice, ay umaabot, ang pinakamahal na nakikita natin ay 70 pesos. Pero ganun pa rin, pasok pa rin yan dun sa price range ng Department of Agriculture. At sa mais, 50 per kilo. Ang itlog naman nasa 8 pesos to 10 pesos yan ang isang piraso, Dani.
Fatima, yung mga farmers at fisher folk, they're supposed to receive ayuda from the Department of Agriculture para din hindi tumaas bigla ang mga presyo. May nakakausap ka ba dyan ng mga vendors tungkol sa ayuda program, kung okay naman ba, or humihiling ba sila na magtaas ng presyo ng bilihin?
Actually, Dani, wala pa tayong mga nakakausap na mga farmers dito. Pero sa mga vendors na nakakausap natin, hindi naman nila hinihiling na magtaas yung presyo ng bilihin dahil mahirap din naman daw yung ibenta. So, mas gusto nila kung steady pa rin o mas maganda nga kung bababa daw yung presyo ng bilihin para at least ay maging mabenta at sayang naman daw kung hindi mabebenta baka masira lang. Dani.
Meron bang mga government officials or people from the Department of Agriculture or the DTI that are going around the markets to make sure na walang, na medyo controlled ang presyo ng mga bilihin, that nobody's exploiting the prices right now?
Dani, wala pa tayong nakakasalubong sa ngayon, pero araw-araw ay may ulibot sa iba't ibang palengke dito sa Metro Manila mula sa Department of Agriculture para magbantay ng presyo. So nililista nila lahat ng mga price range na makikita nila at pinupost yan araw-araw din ng Department of Agriculture sa online. So
Okay.
makikita yan for transparency din dahil.
Ano ba yung pwedeng mangyari if hindi sila sumunod?
Actually, Dani, no, kapag ka kasi, actually, nakausap ko nga dito, no, kapag daw hindi sila sumunod, ay malalagot daw sila doon sa admin nila. Yun yung nakakwento sa akin ng mga vendors dito, no. Sinasabi nila na yung mga presyo daw nila ay nakabatay din sa kung ano yung ibinababa sa kanila nung management. So, kailangan daw nilang sumunod doon at baka raw mapagalitan sila o kaya ay maalis pa doon sa kanilang pwesto. So, medyo mahigpit din daw kasi sila pagdating sa presyo, Dani.
All right, thank you for that update, Mobile Journal, Fatima Baduria. And we are taking a quick break. Stay with us. And welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Devotees are expected to flock to the Minor Basilica of the Black Nazarene in Quiapo, Manila this Holy Monday as part of their Holy Week observance. Let's check the situation on the ground. Mobile Journal Daniel Dayao joins us live. Daniel, how's the turnout of devotees so far? Medyo maaga pa.
Yes, Danny, good morning. We're live here in Quiapo, Manila, to see the masses here that are currently being held as part of the Holy Week this Holy Monday. So behind me, you can tell that parishioners are already present here as part of their observance this Holy Week. But as you can tell, medyo konti pa lang yung tao since it's early morning. So let me show you around. Ayan. So medyo konti pa lang yung tao since it's early morning. But I was told earlier by parishioners na mas dadami pa yung tao later this afternoon. So as you can tell, the place is not yet full. But the masses here started early as 5 a.m. and it continues almost every hour. So, Danny, more expected devotees are about to go here later. Pero ang mga nakausap ko kanina ay working students. So they are just expected here to drop by. So yung mga devotees later daw this afternoon. Pero may isa akong mga namamanatang nakausap kanina. They told me that they actually went from Pampanga or they actually are from Pampanga pa and dumayo sila dito. And I actually asked them, sabi ko, paano yun? Mataas yung gasolina ngayon, yung pamasahe. Kasi nag-arkila sila ng van, no? But they told me that they are very much willing to go here as part of their devotion. And aside from that, no, I also talked to other vendors outside Quiapo Church and they told me na sana ay mas dumami na yung yung bumibili na paninda nila dahil medyo matumal daw ngayon gawa ng mataas yung rising fuel natin or rising oil price hike natin, no? So for now, yung situation dito around the church is very peaceful and orderly. We have authorities outside Quezon Boulevard and that's it for now, Danny.
Daniel, what are the activities in the church for this week and is it any different from the previous Semana Santas?
Yes, Danny, actually, I talked to the parishioners here earlier and so far kung ano daw ang tradisyon dito sa Quiapo ay it remains the same. So mamaya meron silang pabasa sa Basilica de Manor ng 3 p.m. This Holy Monday and Holy Tuesday. But currently, every day naman daw may masa sila to give observance or to do observance for the Holy Week. So that's it for this Quiapo Church branch naman.
There are a lot of police stationed. We are also expecting a lot of processions. Any safety and security measures? Are you expecting a bigger crowd as the week progresses into Easter?
Yes, of course, Danny. It's expected that maraming tao pa ang pupunta dito sa Quiapo. But as of now, kasi Monday pa lang daw and it's early morning pa. So hindi pa masyadong madami ang police visibility dito. Nandito lang sa side ng Quezon Boulevard. But as for now, of course, they are doing safety measures and precautions like marami na daw tumatao to observe sa mga tao na namamanata dito sa Quiapo, Danny.
All right, so we will check back in on you as the week progresses. Thank you for that, Mobile Journal, Daniel Dayao. Meanwhile, the Department of Labor and Employment has set aside 1.2 billion pesos to assist workers affected by the National Energy Emergency under Executive Order 110. The funds will support tulong panghanap buhay sa ating disadvantaged or displaced workers or TUPAD. and the DOLE Integrated Livelihood Program. Now, as part of the government's unified package for livelihoods, industry, food, and transport, or UPLIFT, the DOLE is coordinating with agencies, local governments, and transport groups to provide emergency employment and livelihood support. DOLE is also working with the Department of Migrant Workers and the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration to assist repatriated overseas Filipino workers with job placement, skills training, and livelihood opportunities. Prices of basic goods will remain stable, at least for now. This, as the Trade Department says, manufacturers and retailers have agreed to hold off price increases on basic necessities and prime commodities until April 16th. This comes amid rising global oil prices and ongoing tensions in the Middle East, with companies pledging to absorb higher logistics and inventory costs in the meantime. The DTI also clarified that the current national energy emergency does not automatically trigger a price freeze, unlike a state of calamity, which mandates a 60-day freeze under the Price Act. Meanwhile, Vice President Sara Duterte attends the Araw ng Davao celebration and addresses several key issues, including her father's detention, her impeachment case, and the 2028 elections. Here's that report.
Vice President Sara Duterte attended a culminating activity of this year's Araw ng Davao celebration over the weekend. The event also coincided with the 81st birthday of former President Rodrigo Duterte, who has been detained at the ICC facility in The Hague for over a year. While the Vice President was unable to personally greet her father, she said she continues to pray for his good health.
Pag Saturdays, pag weekends, walang tawag, no? So, hindi ko siya nag-greet ngayong araw na ito. At matagal na rin siyang hindi tumatawag sa akin. Pero kampante ang loob ko dahil nandun naman si Congressman Paulo Duterte para bumisita sa kanya araw-araw. At imasahe siya at meron siyang kausap in Bisaya. Hindi ko alam kung merong mga mini celebration doon sa loob.
The Vice President also thanked those who joined the Araw ng Davao festivities. Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte and other members of the Duterte family were also present. Political allies of the Duterte family also joined the celebration, including former COMELEC Commissioner Rowena Guanzon, Congressman Kiko Barzaga, and Congressman Leandro Leviste. On the issue of impeachment, Vice President Duterte said it is not her priority at this time. She also said that the group of attorney Israelito Torion did not consult her regarding the petition they filed before the Supreme Court in connection with her impeachment.
Hindi sila nag-consult sa akin, no? Kasi hindi ko na iniisip ang impeachment sa panahon na yun. Iniwan ko na yan lahat sa mga abogado.
The Vice President also said she is not yet focusing on the 2028 elections.
I am a presumptive candidate for the 2028 presidential elections, pero hindi ko pa yon pinagpaplanuhan sa ngayon. Tulad ng impeachment, hindi yan ang prioridad at iniisip ko ngayon. Dahil napakarami sa ating mga kababayan ang nananawagan pa rin ng totoong pagmamahal at serbisyo galing sa ating pamahalaan.
Meanwhile, supporters of former President Rodrigo Duterte held a solidarity walk following his birthday. Participants wore green shirts and called for his return to the country.
A group of lawyers is asking the Supreme Court to stop the impeachment proceedings against Vice President Sara Duterte. Led by attorney Israelito Torion, the group filed a petition questioning the constitutionality of the House proceedings, citing alleged grave abuse of discretion. They argued that the complaints were flawed and should have been dismissed instead of being pursued through subpoenas and hearings. The petitioners are also seeking a temporary restraining order to halt the impeachment process. Stay tuned. Morning Matters will be back after a short break.
The Philippine Cable and Telecommunications Association brought together leaders from cable TV, internet service providers, and the broader digital tech industry for the country's biggest annual technology gathering, held from March 23 to 26 at the SMX Convention Center in Pasay City. The event features exhibits on the latest in connectivity, cybersecurity, and cloud technology, alongside seminars, workshops, and networking opportunities for industry professionals, policymakers, and students.
We support the growth by providing the stage for collaboration, like especially here in the tech show. And we have leveled up not only from your regular telecommunications, now we have cybersecurity and we have AI and all the other innovations.
MediaQuest Holdings joins as a key sponsor, supporting efforts to showcase innovations in digital infrastructure and expand media and technology platforms, with the goal of strengthening industry collaboration and shaping the future of connectivity in the Philippines.
We are a company that connects. We connect homes, we connect communities, and more importantly, we connect people to experiences that matter.
The event concluded with Signalplay taking the spotlight, highlighting its live shows and premium content. This was supported by the presence of actors Gab Lagman, Fatima Kate Bisan, and Ian Rances. Also present were basketball and volleyball athletes JP Eram, Owa Retamar, Kat Tolentino, Des Cheng, and Aya Laure, capping off a convention that highlights collaboration and innovation in the Philippine tech and telecommunication industry.
This year, level up ang team natin. So next year, what we wanted to do is that Philippine Tech Show will be your brand and your stage. It's the perfect place where you can showcase your brand, be seen, be heard here in the Philippine Tech Show.
Kapatid Kayla Makantan, we are One News.
Good morning, I'm Dani Laurel, and here on Morning Matters, we talk about the most pressing issues and give you the context behind the headlines. The Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines said that rising fuel prices may reduce participation in Visita Iglesia during Holy Week as travel costs make it harder for devotees to visit churches. Father Jerome Ceciliano, Executive Secretary of the CBCP Episcopal Commission on Public Affairs, said the elderly, sick, or those unable to travel can join masses online or make virtual visits from home. He added that the church has yet to issue an Oratio Imperata amid the Middle East conflict. The CBCP also renewed nationwide Divine Mercy consecration in light of the current crises. And joining us now is Father Jerome Ceciliano, Executive Secretary of the CBCP Episcopal Commission on Public Affairs. Good morning, Father Jerome. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Danny.
Father, let's kick off. First of all, happy Holy Monday. I hope you are preparing very well. How are the different churches in the country preparing for the Holy Week, given these challenges that we are now facing as a country?
Well, I'm not privy with what they're doing, but I guess they're just doing it the right way. Meaning to say, they are preparing for the usual celebrations or rituals. Yesterday, we had the Palm Sunday celebration and the commemoration of Christ's entry into the city of Jerusalem. And I think the priests are very well organized in that matter because we keep on doing this every time. And so I don't see any differences in our preparations.
Are there any cost-cutting measures that you are observing, especially as the transport sector particularly is very affected by the fuel prices and a lot of devotees might have a difficult time traveling to their preferred churches because of the prices?
Well, I think the cost-cutting measures will be, according to the individual's needs. But in the church, we just celebrate whatever it is to be celebrated, and that's it. And you see in your screens that there are lots of people still going to the church. And so therefore, I don't know if this is really affecting the faithful. Meaning to say the rising cost of commodities or the prices of oil or gasoline, I don't know if that really affects them. But I saw yesterday, especially here at EDSA Shrine, that there are so many people who attended our celebration.
Yes, sir. But those that have difficulty, because we had some journalists on the ground, for example, in Quiapo Church, saying that some less people, especially as it's difficult to travel, how can they stay engaged and, of course, be part of Visita Iglesia traditions if they are facing travel constraints?
Well, they can access the Visita Iglesia in the social media. And
Okay.
I guess there are websites that they can really visit, so that this Visita Iglesia, if ever they're not going to go to churches, and they can just do it virtually, so they can just look for any website, pwede naman nilang i-google yan, makikita naman nila kung nasaan yung mga to. So yun ang isang option na pwede nilang gawin. But of course, yung mga simbahan naman kasi natin, Dani, medyo magkakalapit lang din yan. And then they can just go on foot. Let's say, for example, dito sa area namin, sa San Juan and Mandaluyong, magkakatabi lang naman ng mga simbahan, they can just walk and then
That's
do the
true.
Visita Iglesia. So these are the alternatives that they can actually, utilize.
Sir, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, no, the church was very forward-looking and they created a lot of online masses. Do you envision something like this to happen, especially as the government calls for conserving energy or people to stay home, work from home if possible? Is this something that you're looking into? And if so, what would be the protocol to attend masses from home?
Well, they can just click YouTube and then maybe go to Facebook pages of the different parishes and they can attend. Well, we do not actually encourage people who are physically able and who are not sick to just attend the virtual masses. We encourage them to go to churches if they can still go to rather attend all these celebrations in churches. Pero yung virtual masses kasi, para naman kasi yan dun sa mga may sakit, sa mga matatanda.
Okay.
Kaya yun naman ang dapat nilang tingnan. So, sa mga pwede pa naman pumunta, they can always go to churches. Pwede naman sila maglakad, pwede naman sigurong other means of transportation kung namamahalan sila sa presyo ng gasolina. So, they can always do that.
Father, can you share with us and the faithful your thoughts on the war, especially what's going on? Religion is a very big factor here. There's division even within the Muslim communities, growing anti-Semitism, and then, if we can say so, the person at the helm of the U.S. and who started this war is himself a Christian. How is it to take sides? Are we able to take sides in this war? And how are we supposed to feel as Christians?
Well, number one, it's a very complicated thing. So taking sides, meaning to say, I am for Iran or I am for US or Israel, I don't think it matters right now. If there is a side that we can actually support, it's a side of peace. So let us pray for peace. Let us pray for these leaders to be enlightened so that this war may not anymore escalate. Let us pray that finally they're going to put an end to that war. And that is also the call of the Pope. So hindi lang siguro, kumbaga dapat tingnan dito na affected dito yung Iran, affected dito yung US, affected Israel. Kaya tayo nga dito sa Pilipinas affected na rin because of the rising cost of oil and gasoline. So ibig sabihin, nag-escalate ito, kaya dapat lang na yung side na panigin natin ay mahinto na ito. Paano natin mapapahinto yan? Wala tayong powers, but then we can always invoke the one who is more powerful than us. Kaya yung dasal ay napakahalaga. Pagdasal natin sila lahat na finally they come to senses na ito na, put a stop to everything that destroys humanity.
And finally, Father, before we let you go, can you give a message for the Filipinos observing Holy Week during these challenging times?
Well, it's good to always have this interior reflection, looking at ourselves and then gauging our relationship with the Lord. How is it now? At syempre, ando dun dapat yung courage natin, ipagpatuloy yung buhay kahit na medyo mahirap. And at the same time, we want that the Lord may be, experienced by each and every one of us yung kanyang presence. Kasi, kapag ganitong sobrang hirap, minsan yung tao on the brink of helplessness and hopelessness, but don't feel that way because there are always ways, ano, kung paano malalagpasan ito, and we rely on the power of our Almighty God. Hayaan natin na tulungan tayo, kaya invoke natin yung kanyang presence sa buhay at ang kanyang tulong.
Maraming salamat, Father Jerome Ceciliano of the CBCP, for your time and of course for your blessings this morning.
Thank you, Danny.
Don't go away. More matters to discuss after this break. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Now let's head over to Cubao to check the situation at bus terminals. We have mobile journalist Francis Rivera for the latest. Francis, kamusta ang mga pasahero dyan? Marami na ba?
Mga pasahero sa isang bus terminal at simula pang araw itong talakarang araw, lalo na pinakitaan ng sila ng pagkakas sa kanilang mga probinsya.
It seems we're having some technical problems with Francis. We'll get back to him later on. Meanwhile, community pantry organizer Ana Patricia Non has reopened her initiative to support drivers affected by rising fuel prices. In an interview with The Big Story, Non urged commuters to contribute food for public transport drivers. She described the situation as disheartening, noting that some drivers are struggling to meet daily needs. Community pantries have been set up in Maginhawa, Quezon City, Pasig, Baguio, and other areas across the country.
Naisip ko parang, ay, magbubukas uli ng pantry, ganyan. Tapos parang, ganito na yung nangyari dati, tapos ngayon ulit, ganyan. Tapos malungkot siya, actually. Malungkot siya kasi yung nag-start ako ng pantry, ang una kong initiative ng pandemic ay para sa drivers, jeepney drivers, tricycle drivers, kasi tigil pasada, sila rin yung unang naapektuhan. Tapos after 5 years, ito ulit tayo. Magpa-pantry ulit, ganyan. Tapos yung pantry, okay, message of hope siya, kindness, sa problema ng pandemic. Pero yung experience ngayon, merong malungkot na nangyayari. May mga nagugutom, may mga naapektuhan. And ako, bilang simpleng citizen na middle class din, ano ba yung best na magagawa ko? Ganun. So, ganun lang din dati. Pero tapos ngayong nabukas uli yung pantry, parang, ay, ito na naman tayo, tumanda na ako, wala na ako sa youth sector, tapos ito uli yung gagawin nating best effort for the community. Malungkot siya, pero ang reassuring ay, hindi na ako mag-isa, kasi nung sinabi ko na, ay, mag-pantry tayo bukas, meron na akong mga kasama sa pantry or pantry na, ay, sama ako at tulungan kita magbuhat. Yung mga nanay sa KNL, sabi, nandito lang kami, message mo lang kami pag may gagawin pa tayo. Tapos yung sa government response, actually, ano siya, yung pantry, nag-start siya nang hindi ka mapakali, hindi mo alam na ano bang pwede kong gawin, ano ba yung pwede kong express, ganyan. Tapos medyo, for me personally, disappointing siya kasi sila yung nasa power. Tapos lahat naman tayo creative. Sila yung may budget, ganyan. Tapos hindi ba natin kayang aralin yung taxes natin? Hindi ba natin kayang isuspend yung taxes? Hindi ba natin kayang magkaroon ng mga libreng sakay? Hindi ba natin kaya i-hire muna yung mga jeepney drivers na i-hire tong mga kahit, alam mo yun, kahit government employees na ito, kayo na magsa-service muna, tas may sure kayong kita, ganyan. Mga ganong idea man lang. Tapos, ang malungkot kasi pag hindi ko makita yung mga drivers natin, titigil sila ng pasada kasi lugi naman sila. Tapos yung may-ari naman ng mga sasakyan na middle class, hindi rin makabiyahe. Gusto nila public transport kasi mahal din yung gas. Pero walang pumapasada. So ano mangyayari sa ekonomiya natin sa Pilipinas, 'di ba? Parang malulumpo tayo dahil sa ganitong sitwasyon.
And let's head on over to Cubao to check the situation at bus terminals. We have mobile journalist Francis Rivera for the latest. Francis, marami na bang mga pasahero dyan this morning?
At 6 a.m. pang araw, marami na raw yung parang sa dito mga pasahero. Or kasi madaling araw pa raw. Pero nakitaan nila ito ng pagtaas simula pa noong Friday evening kung saan marami na rin mga kapatid ang maagang uwi sa kanilang mga probinsya. Pero dito ay may kita na rin dito, ayan, medyo marami pa rin yung waiting area, ikot ko lang yung camera. At isa dito sa mga pinapatupad nila ay yung 5 minutes of idling kung saan 5 minutes before departure, doon pa lang nila binubuksan yung mga makina, yung aircon ng kanilang mga bus. No? At ayon nga dito sa kumpanya na ating pinakatuyuan ngayon, isa raw ito sa mga paraan nila para makatipid ng diesel, no? Ng gas. At solusyon daw nila ito para sa patuloy na pagtaas ng presyo ng diesel. Kaya ang ginagawa nila, 5 minutes before departure, naka-off yung pagdating dito ng mga bus, i-off muna nila yung makina, pati yung aircon, kaya yung mga pasahero may schedule, dito muna sila naghihintay sa waiting area. Actually, dito naman sa waiting area, okay din ang paghintay kasi presko dahil may mga electric fan naman at hangin, no? At comfortable naman daw para sa mga pasahero yung paghihintayan nila.
Francis, kasi nakausap ko yung mobile journal si Evan no, in Pitex. And sinabi niya na doon po may mga buses, parang fill up muna nila yung mga buses bago umalis para hindi masayang. Ganon din ba ang sitwasyon? At medyo fully booked siya kasi meron din ibang mga bus na nag-cancel ng rides dahil nga sa presyo ng langis.
Dito, tinanong natin yung maging terminal master nila at tinanong natin kung meron bang mga fully booked ng flight or ride or trip no papunta nga sa north kasi kadalasan yung mga biyahe dito. Pero sabi nga nila, parang wala pa silang naitatalang mga fully booked at open pa sila for online reservation and walk-in. At kanina nakita natin, medyo mahaba rin yung pila ng mga nag-walk-in no, na pasahero. So far, tuloy-tuloy daw yung pagdating pa rin ng mga bus. No? At dito naman kasi, pinupuno rin naman nila yung mga bus nila bago sila umalis. At nakikita rin naman natin na marami din talaga mga pasahero. Yung mabilis naman kasi agad napupuno yung bus dahil marami din talaga yung pasahero uuwi na sa kanilang probinsya.
May difference ba in the amount of passengers this week during Semana Santa kumpara sa previous years?
Yes, actually yan yung tinanong natin kanina. Unang tanong ko nga yan kung meron bang pagbabago or nakita ba silang difference nung last year at sa ngayon, ano? Na parang kumaharap tayo ngayon sa thesis ng oil, no? At sabi nga nila, parang nakikitaan pa rin nila na mas marami daw ang mas dumadami yung mga pasahero compare sa last year. Kasi nga, parang yung iba kasi mga pasahero daw, mas kilikili na lang mag-commute kaysa yung gumamit ng sarili nilang sasakyan, no? Kasi dito, hindi daw sila nagtaas ng sila suspended at hindi naman sila na magtaas ng mga fare hike yung ating mga company ba. So, talagang nag-isipit din sila ng situron at dahil niya, no? Kasabay ng pag-iipit nila ng situron at pagsisipid nila ng gas, yun yung i-implement nilang yung 5 minutes of idling ng mga bus nila dito.
Curious lang kami, no? Kasi, syempre, tinatanong natin yung mga colleagues namin dito, may plano ba kayo for Holy Week? At maraming nagsasabi, ay, mahal, magastos, hindi na lang, diba, sa bahay na lang. Tapos, also the government is saying na stay at home, save electricity. Pero, as you mentioned, marami pa rin taong pumupunta, umuuwi sa probinsya. Nakakausap mo ba yung mga pasaherong yan? What gives them so much motivation? And despite all of these rising, crazy costs for travel, they continue to flock the terminals and go home for Holy Week.
Yes, isa sa mga sinasabi nila, tradisyon. Yung tradisyon nila na umuwi every Holy Week sa kanilang mga probinsya. Pero ang pinagkaibahan lang daw kasi may mga nakausap tayo dito na from private vehicle o yung mga kanilang mga sariling sasakyan, ipapark daw muna nila ito sa kanilang mga bahay. At sipilin po ng mag-commute dahil medyo mabigat din talaga yung una, yung gas, kasabayan pa ng coffee. So, medyo mabigat daw yun. Kaya mas pinipili nila kayo mag-boost, no? At, kasi,
Interesting. Okay.
makakatipid sila na kung balikan, yung fair din dito, halos kalahati ng magagastos nila from gas and yung magiging toll fee nila. Actually, yun yung mga naririnig natin. Based na sa mga nakausap natin na unang pumalis na, kung nakakalas na lang ba yan. Pero yun yung mga useful na sentiments na narinig natin, mga tinatanong natin, yung mga ibang pasahero dito.
Interesting, no? So marami palang tao na may kotse pala, pero ginagamit nila ang public transport right now to save on costs. Very interesting. Thank you so much for that report, mobile journalist Francis Rivera. Over to sports. It's a strong showing in both collegiate and professional volleyball. La Salle extended its dominance in UAAP Season 88, sweeping up to secure a record 16th straight Final Four appearance and remain unbeaten this season. The Lady Spikers also move closer to a possible stepladder advantage with their 10-game winning streak. Meanwhile, in the PVL, Akari kept its semifinals hopes alive after eliminating Choco Mucho in a thrilling 5-set victory. Akari now advances to the next play-in phase where it will face Creamline for a semifinals berth. The future of Philippine boxing gets a major boost as ABAP and Telescoop seal a new partnership to support young athletes. Mobile journalist Ray Vicente has this report.
Good news for boxers! The Association of Boxing Alliances in the Philippines, or ABAP, and PLDT Multipurpose Cooperative Telescoop officially signed their partnership contract on Tuesday, March 24. This partnership particularly aims to support the finances and even holistic development of young boxers, strengthening grassroots of boxing in the country.
Yung agreement is they will be providing financial assistance to our youth boxers, yung mga up-and-coming boxers. And ang magbe-benefit ay hindi lang yung sports performance nila, but even their education, even psychosocial support. So yung holistic development talaga ng mga young boxers natin.
Under the 5-year collaboration, Telescoop will commit to provide 500,000 a year to cover the priorities of the athletes. However, ABAP President said it is just the initial amount as it may increase in the following years depending on the needs of the athletes.
So they're actually giving 500,000 a year and that's for 5 years, no? Ang kinomit nila. May mga needs pa na kailangan ma-support, then they will be willing pa to add to that, no? So sa ngayon there will be additional living allowance for those identified boxers, yung kanilang mga equipment, yung kanilang mga training needs. So yun, mako-cover nito. And then at the same time, yun nga, yung education component rin.
Telescoop also added their plans to hopefully form during the first year of their partnership.
For the first year, kailangan muna makapag-form kami at least five amateur boxers to support on their, augment yung financial or allowances nila. At the same time, yung mga training needs na kakailangan nila.
Other than career, both companies also intend to build the education foundation of athletes, echoing the significance of it to youth. For them, sports and school should be both prioritized by their athletes.
Nabanggit namin din sa Telescoop na that's also part of our program sa grassroots level na and even actually sa national team, no? Na pag under ka ng ABAP, nasa training pool ka ng ABAP, dapat nag-aaral ka.
Ang intention is not only to support them with their financial assistance, but also as to augment on their value formation. We're not only making them champions in the sports of boxing, but also making them champion in life.
Kapatid Ray Vicente, we are One News.
And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we have given you just the right start to your morning. Let's make the day matter. I'm Dani Laurel, kapatid. We are One News, all sides, all the time.